7:01 p.m. Kathy, can you please call the roll?
Baby Farm.
Here.
Blakely. Here. Runnel.
Here.
Wright. Gaspar.
Here.
Locke. Here. Look. And we'll be ready.
He's on there. That's right. Sue, would you please do this? What?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any items to be added or removed from the agenda?
There are not.
All right, then first we'd like to invite our student ambassadors to share with us.
All right, so since we last saw you, a lot has happened at the school. So first, on Friday, we had a half day, and the half day was basically a quarter day because half of the half day was spent at the Spring Recognition Assembly, where we talked about the winter spring sports and their accomplishments, and then academic achievements, which was basically just reiterating the fact that Kyle Whitford got a 36 on his ACT. And then also, not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before then, we took the SAT, well, the juniors took the SAT, and then freshmen and sophomores took the PSAT, and then we'll get the results back from that on May 2nd, so everyone is waiting for those. Also, the new NHS just got their letters of either acceptance or rejection. But that happened, and they're being inducted next week, so everyone is excited about that. And also, equity training that I mentioned, I think, in January, the third date for that happened, and it was a super awesome closing, and everyone that attended was super grateful for all the lessons that they learned.
Yeah, and then at the high school, it's kind of get the feeling like it's winding down quickly. Not next Friday, but the Friday after, that's prom. So the week leading up to prom is going to be senior week. So it'll be a spirit week for particularly the seniors in the NHS. I started planning that, and Wednesday will be Rent a Senior Day, and the bidding for that started today, so everyone's super excited about that. And we're also, NHS is also working on the college map, which I know once that goes up, it's so much fun. So, I don't know, I got another email from Dr. Smith that was like laying out the end of the year, picking up gowns, yard signs, and I mean, there's 17 days left for the seniors. I'm pretty excited. So, the year's winding down, finals are coming fast, and everything's moving pretty quickly. Graduation will come right after that. So,
Speaking of the college map.
college map.
Oh, we have to really ask for.
I'm coming next month.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
we're gonna
ridiculous.
save it. I did say it.
It was a tease to a tease?
Everyone wanted me to say back in February where I was like, I don't know. So I know where I'm going. I'm super excited.
And we're going to want to hear all the details.
I do too. I'll get rides.
We have a jam-packed meeting tonight, so we do
Yeah.
not have
Next
still
month.
time for
Next
you.
month.
Yeah.
All right, next month.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys. If everyone that wanted to address the board had a chance to get this to me, she'll give you the pink form. It's got our policy on the back, and we ask that you put your full name and address on the form because we are required by state law to keep a detailed set of minutes. When you address the board tonight, we're not going to enter into a dialogue. It doesn't mean we don't take what you say seriously. If you'd like further communication with the district, please see Kathy Scafidi, and she can make sure that we've got your information to get back to you with any questions or any follow-up that you're requesting. We do notice that we've got a very large number of people requesting to comment tonight. So we're asking you to stick to a 2-minute time limit. We will have a timer so that you can time yourself, and the timer will go off to give you a audio cue that your time is up. We want to have as many people as possible have a chance to address us, which is why we're asking you to respect that 2 minutes. At 7:45, we will suspend comment for the night so that we can continue on with our meeting. If you are interested, you have a couple of options. I know a lot of people write out their comments anyway. If you decide that you didn't get to speak, but you want us to see your comments, you can give those to Kathy Speedy, and she can make sure that your written comments are part of our board documents. We're also going to respectfully ask you not to repeat the exact same message because we want a chance to hear everyone. We welcome you to come up and say, I'm fully in agreement with the speakers that came in front of us. And if you have, again, those written comments, you're welcome to give them to Kathy and they get distributed to all board members. And again, as I mentioned, you can give her your written comments. But before we get to public comments, I would like to share some information on behalf of the board. Just some updated information about process and where we're at. So our enrollment continues to decline, and we have to make staffing decisions accordingly. This year's decline is 2.4% over last year. It's the second largest decline in our 7-year trend. And to address these enrollment declines, every single year we adjust our staffing levels. And to meet legal and contractual timelines, we are required to honorably dismiss any staff that we cannot guarantee a position for the following year. If we don't dismiss in March, we would be legally required to retain staff even if we do not have a placement for them. And we do this every year. If you watch our activities every single year in March, we respectfully, honorably discharge certain staff, and occasionally we're able to bring back staff as our numbers and our enrollment indicates. And we know that our beloved orchestra teacher was on that list, and we know that many of you are here tonight to show support for him. And we know that that's because you all desire a strong music program, you desire strong teachers in Batavia, and we are 100% in agreement with that. This board is very, very committed to having a strong staff. We are very, very committed to having really strong programs, including our music program. If you look up here, there are a number of parents sitting here who have been very actively involved in the music program over the years. Over the next few meetings, we will be finalizing decisions for many of the staff members that were impacted by those decisions. Some of those recommendations are ready for board action tonight. For example, one of the changes includes moving our VHS orchestra teacher, Allison Liska, to RMS to teach half-time. She's very excited, we're very excited that she has that opportunity, and it will create a full-time position at the Batavia High School for an orchestra, an orchestra teacher, and we will be hiring someone as soon as we have a candidate that is approved. So really appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll be calling you up in order, so I think you all have your numbers. So the first person, number 1, we'd like to call is a duo, Madeline Hotham and Marsha Naughton. I'm sorry, it was Marcus. I did not.
Hi, I'm Madeline Hotham, and my address is 1040 April.
I'm Marcus Knopf, and my address is 2757 Charlotte Drive.
Good evening. Marcus and I are 8th graders at Rotolo. We are here tonight to express our concerns about the decision to decrease a music staff position at RMS by 0.5 FTE. We have been in Mr. Griffith's orchestra since 6th grade. He is a wonderful teacher. Mr. Griffith is an excellent clinician, but more than that, he has qualities that cannot be taught. He is kind, patient, positive, and has a sense of humor. He really connects with middle school students. He is a true asset to Batavia, and it would be a huge loss if he was not able to return next year. We are also huge fans of Miss Liska, having had the privilege of having her as a sectional teacher in our orchestra class at RMS part-time. The district needs to find a way to keep both of these highly valued teachers and keep full-time RMS dedicated orchestra-trained staff at the middle school.
That being said, we realize that this decision was based on the budget, so we will address the effects that this cut will have on the music program. It is unclear how the reduced FTEs will be distributed, and it will be our understanding that this has not been finalized. If you are still considering utilizing band staff for orchestra, this decision will not just affect orchestra students. Band students will not have as much small group instruction because they will be sharing staff with orchestra. Some orchestra students will not have the benefit of a teacher whose
special clinical skills in string instruments, or they will only have an orchestra specialist part-time. Band and orchestra, while they share some common ground, such as music theory, are two very different skill sets. Orchestra students deserve to have a teacher who has expertise in string instruments, such as band teachers have a teacher who is an expert at their instruments. There is no way that an orchestra program can be sustained with only a 0.5 FTE orchestra teacher. Utilizing either the elementary or high school orchestra teachers to also teach at RMS would be seriously overload these teachers, and both the teachers and students will suffer. Currently, there's a part-time support for the elementary and high school teachers in the RMS classrooms versus full-time support in the sections of band with 3 dedicated band staff. Even part-time support would not be possible next year for orchestra students to help with sectionals, etc. if these teachers are expected to teach classes at RMS. We suspect that you will see a drop in enrollment in the 5th grade level for orchestra due to reduction of music FTEs at the middle school. We are sure you will also see a drop in enrollment in the middle school level. It could be significant enough to cause overcrowding in the other exploratory classes. Furthermore, as the year goes by, this drop in enrollment will make its way through the high school. Also, it will be difficult to attract well-qualified student teachers to the district and further did these changes.
I have reached out to several Illinois college professors of string music for their thoughts on the subject of having a band teacher teach orchestra. Professor Brant Taylor of DePaul University and cellist with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra says on the subject of replacing an orchestra teacher with a band teacher. It would be like replacing a football coach with a swimming coach. Somehow, I don't think a school would consider anything like that with sports. So why is it true with music? A band is not an orchestra. While the act of conducting both ensembles may look similar to somebody who doesn't know any better, the instruments are not the same, and therefore the skills need to be rehearsed and successfully teach them in a group setting are completely different. I'm in the Chicago Symphony now because my public elementary and middle schools had a string teacher, not a woodwind teacher or a brass teacher. And I believe you and your classmates should have the same opportunity to learn the art of orchestra playing from someone qualified to teach it.
Can we ask you guys to wrap up to your big points? We tried to give you a little extra time since it was the 2 of you, but we want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak.
In closing, a full-time equivalent RMS dedicated orchestra teaching position is essential to a successful orchestra program, and the students of this district deserve this just as all the band, chorus, and orchestra students, or band and chorus students have an RMS dedicated staff that are trained specifically in their respective fields. Thank you for your time.
If you want to give some time to citizens to speak, we can make sure that they go in the public record too if you want. Number 2 is action by Anna Adams.
Good evening. My name is Anna Adams, and I'm speaking today to advocate for the reinstatement of a full-time orchestra teacher at Rotolo Middle School and for the reinstatement of Mr. Chris Griffin in that position. My husband Paul and I have lived in Batavia for 18 years. We have 2 sons who have graduated from Batavia schools and still have 3 daughters here, 1 at each level. All have or are currently participating in Batavia band or orchestra. Our current 8th grader has been a student of Mr. Griffin for the past 3 years. The news that the administration is cutting the only orchestra teacher at Rotolo is very disturbing for several reasons. One, as the students here before mentioned, not all music teachers are qualified and experienced in strings. They are not interchangeable. Consider this analogy. All doctors go to medical school, yet it's through years of specialization that they become an orthopedic surgeon or a heart surgeon. You wouldn't want the orthopedic doctor operating on your heart. Would you hire a French teacher to teach Spanish or a basketball coach to teach football? Middle school is a formative time in these students' musical development, and they deserve being taught by a professional who has experience, a specialist in strings. Even though the total number of students at RMS is decreasing, the number of students enrolled in orchestra has actually increased from a low of 131 in 2015 to 182 this year. That is a 39% increase in the number of students taking orchestra. These numbers support a dedicated full-time orchestra teacher. It's not fair to bring in the 5th grade or the high school teachers to fill in. They are busy teaching their own students and would actually stretch them to the point of burnout, which happened a few years ago when our Rotolo orchestra teacher left after asking for help because it was too much for one person to do, much less half a position. I understand that a half-time position is being voted on tonight at RMS, and I ask that you vote no on the consent agenda and return a full-time position to Rotolo. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call now.
I believe that you are good people doing good work for good reasons. The community at large will always be conservative in that if they don't understand if something isn't broke, they won't understand why the hell you don't want to fix it. I apologize if that language was strong, but those aren't my words regarding the staffing changes for the Batavia Orchestra program. That was a quote from a board member at the January 15, 2019 meeting regarding the Rotolo Middle School Master Schedule proposal. Here are some other quotes from that meeting that many in this room believe applies to this current situation. We're all at error on this one, but we all learn. We're in the education field. We make mistakes. What do? You go back and correct it. I think one of the best goals that you can teach your kids is that it's okay to fail. I'm hearing feedback that wasn't quite what we wanted. We weren't quite where we needed to be. And so in some ways, the fact that it didn't go quite the way we wanted is the best gift we could have because I feel like what we're going to end up with. I don't want to poo-poo the idea, the concept that brings up if we would have started to plot out a communication program based around this giant ship turning, we probably would have identified a lot of gotchas along the way. And we would have scrubbed the launch well before it would have got to the launch pad. We've come a long way in communication, and this was just a hiccup. It's a big hiccup, but we've come a long way. We're going to go back to this process, and we're going to figure this out. So one of the things that's important for this right now is to make sure we avoid doing what we just did. We have to identify where did that go wrong and what we have to do to fix it. If there's a communication problem, that's one thing. If there's a flaw in the plan, that's another thing. I believe we had issues on both ends of that. I think if we're going to take on responsibility as a board, that it is important that we provide direction as far as where we want them to go. And I think it's part of that is acknowledging that we had a bad experience, figuring out what went wrong during that process. Ultimately, the process worked because we didn't implement something that was bad. So obviously, somewhere along the line, the process worked, but it broke down because it should have been caught sooner. And based on a lot of people that I talked to, we probably should have caught this sooner before we ended up with bad news right before Christmas break. Right before people were registering. It seems to me like if we had bounced it all off more people, we probably would have avoided a lot of embarrassment and a lot of trust, which I think we're experiencing. So here are my words. Bad news before spring break. Minimal savings to a $100 million budget because of a change to something the community didn't know was broken. Working with teachers after the fact to discover even less savings to be had to a $100 million budget. 2 big hiccups in 3 months. What do? You go back and correct it. I ask that you move agenda item 4.3 personnel from the consent agenda to consider voting against the half-time orchestra position at RMS and restate the full-time orchestra director position. And also in the future, you could notify the public when you're going to change the rules about how long you could speak. That would have been helpful. My time was 3 minutes. Thank you.
We understand you're passionate. We're not trying to change the rules. We have 25 people here. We are happy to listen to you. We engage the public, but most other meetings will shut down if we're going to have public reaction to every comment. We would like to have an opportunity to hear from as many people. I understand when people are not happy that we've changed, but it's that, or I have 15 people that we don't even get to hear from. We're trying to give everyone an opportunity to share their thoughts.
Or you can listen to all of us because you work for us.
Right now.
And not jump over the table and strangle people because you disagree with the First Amendment.
Excuse me? What?
Go back and watch on YouTube. I don't know, he knows what it is.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead with Joshua. We are following board policy that allows the comment time to be adjusted on the fly depending on how many people. So that's in the board policy, but we're excited to hear from Joshua right now. Thanks.
Mr. Griffith is an amazing orchestra teacher that can bring a level of joy and comfort to the classroom that no other teacher in the post could. He makes learning enjoyable while still making his lesson efficient. He develops relationships with the students outside of the lesson so that everyone feels comfortable and happy around him and in the environment of this classroom. He also does what is best for the students as he is welcome to feedback and applies it to his lessons to make them more suitable for our needs. He goes above and beyond to ensure that all students are understanding of what he teaches us and that we can exercise it accordingly. Any music teacher may be able to teach the theory behind music in general, but only a teacher who has been trained to play and understand a specific instrument or group of instruments is suitable to teach it. The band teachers haven't been trained to teach orchestra. For example, once after class, a band teacher came into the room and asked Mr. Griffith to teach him how to do something on a cello, and Mr. Griffith thought of it. Mr. Griffith knows how to play string instruments and provides us with a deeper understanding that is necessary to proficiently play a string instrument, rather than just understand how to read the music on the page, and have a somewhat understanding of how to apply it for instruments. All in all, Mr. Griffith is a great teacher that can bring his students to the fullest extent they can be brought to, and does not deserve to be let go, and neither would it benefit the orchestra students if he is let go.
Thanks, Joshua. Jessica Fleur, number 5.
And then next is for
Kurt Bonet, you're on tap.
Okay, so that was my son, and after listening to him talk, I'm just gonna try to speak from the heart if I can get through it. My son eats, breathes, sleeps, classical music. And Mr. Griffith has given him that voice. He listened to a composition, one of his first, and quickly sent it over to Mrs. Liska, who then had her Philharmonic record it and sent it into a competition where the deadline was a day later. And he won 3rd place in state. If that doesn't validate a child in something that he is driven to do for his life's work, in 7th grade, do we know that? Maybe not all of us, but I'm pretty convinced he knows what he's doing. I can't tell you how important it is for Mr. Griffith to stay at this school with these kids. He is a continuum from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade when they switch. Joshua's had amazing teachers. I don't have any complaints. RMS is a great school, and it has supported his voice in great ways. But there's something about Mr. Griffith. I have met a lot of people who love their job. I have never met anyone who loves it as much as he does. I mean, I'm sure you've seen him. If you haven't, take a chance to see him in action with his kids, even on a field trip. It is amazing what this man can bring out of every child. He has a great balance for middle school, and middle school is its own beast. And I can't tell you how incredibly fit he is for this school. Mrs. Lisk is wonderful. As I said, she did for my son as well, but I don't know that she's middle school. That's not to say anything against her, she's amazing. But Mr. Griffith needs to stay there and needs to be part time. He's doing 3 grades. It's a lot of work. Give our kids these voices.
Kurt Bonet, Bonet. And then number 7 is Dave and Evan.
Kurt Bonet, 552 Blackhawk. I cannot understand why you cut the only orchestra teacher when the number of students clearly justifies a full-time teacher. Even when school enrollment was down, the orchestra numbers held steady. I know your enrollment projections predict a steady decline in total student population, but I think those projections are a bit extreme and unlikely to happen. Do they take into account the hundreds of new homes and single-family houses being constructed? In the middle school, students have orchestra every day and need more help with their instrument than a high schooler who only has orchestra every other day. Without daily instruction in middle school, they would not grow it as much as they are now, and the high school program would not be at the level it is today. Music provides a great way for students to get college scholarships and ease the ever-increasing burden of college costs. The proposed music program changes would jeopardize that. Music teachers provide so much value. They're one of the very few teachers that a student can have every year while at school. This provides a fantastic opportunity for meaningful relationships, mentorship, and social-emotional support. 50% of the student body participates in music and gets these benefits. That is fantastic and wonderful. In addition to so much of the benefits a full-time orchestra teacher provides, Mr. Griffith, as an orchestra teacher, has provided so much encouragement, inspiration, fun, and has been a perfect role model for the kids. Piecemealing with part-time positions and stretching music teachers to the limits will never produce the same quality as dedicated full-time teachers can offer. It's ridiculous to even compare the two options. Furthermore, I doubt the half-time position will even continue in the future. I want nothing more than to trust the school administration and the school board. I understand there's a business side to running a district, but businesses don't cut what differentiates them from other businesses, and they don't cut what keeps customers loyal and provides value. I also don't see how the justification regarding enrollment numbers comes close to supporting the actions taken. Why are you messing with a program that's running efficiently and producing such quality results? I don't know whose idea this was, but it wasn't that good. And there have been a few really bad decisions as of late. I can't believe this move was even made, and the proposed solutions are not good enough. Please reinstate Chris Griffin full-time advocacy.
Thank you. State Bonet and Abby Bonet and Delia Miranda.
Hi, I'm Ellen Bonet. I'm a 5th grade orchestra student. I also have a 504 plan to help me be successful at school. I've really been looking forward to working with Mr. Griffiths. It makes me nervous to go to middle school now, when I have absolutely no staff that I feel safe and trusting with now. I hope you will reinstate Mr. Griffith and help the orchestra as well as Griffith and remind me a little more support. Thank you.
My name is Kate Bonet. I'm a 7th grade orchestral student at Rotolo. Mr. Griffith is the only staff member I feel I can trust to know if there is support me. There are a few other great teachers, but they usually forget who I am once I'm out of their classes. There are so many people that just don't care about other people, and Mr. Griffith really cares about each of his students. He has helped me grow a lot as a bass player. He understands what we are going through as orchestra students, so all the parts feel important. He has also helped me become more confident in all the areas of my life. Orchestra is a bright spot that I look forward to every day. I'm not looking forward to going to school next year without Mr. Griffith. Please reconsider your decision. Thank you.
And like to invite number 8, Delia Bonet, and Cameron Reynolds, number 9, you are on deck.
I'm current 8th grader at RMS. I play cello in 4 different groups in and out of school. If this disgusting mistake is made, the music numbers would drop, let alone the inspiration that Mr. Griffith brings. Because Bart is a fine place I've never seen in any of my teachers. Orchestra is one of my favorite parts of music, and inspires me in other subjects as well, like writing. For example, I entered the AAUW writing contest several months back. I received 4th place in the 8th grade fiction category. I remember how I picked up my cello, which is huge for string players. Another problem is that there's a difference between band and orchestra teachers, as you said. As a member of the Elgin Symphony Orchestra, as a band teacher at conductor, there's a major disconnect. He doesn't know how to fix orchestra problems. Even with a person with orchestra background there part-time to help, the problems still aren't fixed. This mistake needs to be corrected.
I'd like to invite number 9, Cameron Reynolds, and Andrea Alfonso, number 10, please come next.
Hi, I'm a sophomore at VHS and play the cello in the orchestra there. I'm just going to get right into it because I know we're short on time. So it seems that the district cited declining enrollment in the district as a reason to reduce the number of music teachers at Rotolo. However, the number of students participating in the music program continues to grow, like in no small part to the passionate teachers like Mr. Griffith. Our music teachers, students, and parents have helped to build a music program that is an award-winning, nationally recognized program. The district decision, however, to cut staffing for the music program gives the appearance that there's a lack of interest, pride, or support in what we have built, and has already begun to tarnish the reputation as evidenced in the many comments in the petition that I created. Many people cite the music program as a reason for even moving to Batavia, and they're deeply troubled by the district decision. We believe that it's a mistake to let go of such an exceptional teacher, such as Mr. Griffith, who has continually made a difference in the lives of students. The petition I created gathered almost 2,600 signatures in just 9 days, with hundreds of comments from parents, students, and even former colleagues of Mr. Griffith. Students spoke of Mr. Griffith's effectiveness as an educator and a mentor, with comments such as, "He has helped me through the loss of my dad and came to his wake and has been through me through all this. He is the reason I didn't quit orchestra, and he teaches us how to be the best in everything. He keeps us engaged every day." Even his former boss, the principal of Yorkville, Sylvia Tordo, felt compelled to speak on his behalf. She wrote, "I was principal at Grande Reserve in Yorkville. Chris is one of the most talented and student-centered orchestra teachers I've ever known. Batavia, give your students an expert education in orchestra. I'm disappointed in the lessening of your educational program in this area and the Batavia School District as a whole with this decision." Similar sentiments can be read throughout the petition as thousands of people sign their names in solidarity. I hope that the school board will take this into consideration and take into account the opinions and recommendations of many students, parents, and colleagues who have gathered here this evening or voice their opinion on the petition I created. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity and all these people.
Okay, I invite Andrea Lefano, number 10, and number 11, Amy, Agnika, I'm sorry, is on deck.
My name is Andrea Lefranco. I'm a local private cello teacher, director of the Fox Valley Youth Orchestra, as well as director and founder of the Firma Community Orchestra that's right here in Batavia. Over the 19 years teaching in the area, I have taught many students participating in the various string programs in Batavia from elementary all the way through high school. They have had the opportunity to learn great music and have memorable performances with fantastic teachers directing. Many graduates of the orchestra programs in Batavia have gone on to become professional musicians and teachers, building successful programs of their own, or simply due to their training in school can enjoy a lifelong love of music through their instrument. It is something to be proud of in our community. Over the years, I've also seen the manipulation of the music faculty and the revolving door of orchestra teachers, and how that has negatively impacted my students. It is finally nice to see some stability in the orchestra programs these last few years. Most students don't have the luxury of private instruction, and they rely on the expertise of professional string players to guide their fundamentals in orchestra class at school. It's a tall order for any orchestra teacher with 100+ students to manage on a full-time basis. And Mr. Griffith has done a phenomenal job guiding his students and continually piquing their interest as they make their way through the high school program. The student, unfortunately, a part-time position will not cut it for the future of the orchestra at Rotolo, and obviously cannot be sustained without major consequences down the line. Although my friend and colleague Allison Liska, I have great faith that she will do all she can to help. The real problem here has become the lack of forethought toward our music programs in general and the long-term effects of this constant manipulation of the system. What will happen in 1, 2, 3 years to an orchestra program with only a part-time teacher? Many people move to Batavia for its award-winning music program as this community embraces culture and art. Why is cutting the orchestra teacher even a consideration? In support of my colleague and friend, Mr. Griffith, I have seen him in action. I know him to be a tremendous musician and dedicated teacher with a great big heart. He not only inspires his kids musically, but can relate to them and help them through these sometimes awkward middle school years. He has proven time and again to be a tremendous asset to the Rotolo students and community. Right now, Batavia has a tremendous and growing string program. Orchestra is alive and well in Batavia. Please make orchestra a priority rather than an afterthought so that future generations of students will be able to have the same opportunities we give our kids today. We need a full-time orchestra teacher at the school, and recognition and growth and success of our music programs need to be rewarded and not punished. These kids deserve the best, and they already have it. Don't take that away from them, please. Thank you.
Number 11, Amy Agnika, and number 12, Karen Fernandez.
Good evening. I'm Amy Agnika. I currently have an 8th grader in orchestra, and I also have a college freshman in the Drake University Orchestra. My Drake student received a sizable scholarship to play in the orchestra. I give credit in part to the wonderful music program at BPS. The program has received several accolades, including recent recognition of having one of the best communities for music education from the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. What will it mean if BPS replaces a middle school orchestra instructor with a band instructor? Music educators, although all having a degree in music education, have specialized training, just like doctors. Would you go to a dermatologist for a heart condition? Will universities see this change as a blemish to the music program, possibly withholding scholarship money, knowing that the district has taken shortcuts with the program? What about incoming fifth graders' enrollment in the orchestra program? Do you think that parents might reconsider enrolling their kids in orchestra, knowing that this change has happened? A message is being sent out, whether it's intended or not, that orchestra is a stepchild of the music program. Perhaps a better move for incoming fifth graders is to join band instead, or not join the music program at all. Thank you.
Right, number 12, Karen Fernandez, and number 13, Cameron Gravel will be next.
Karen Fernandez, 2040 Peterson Place. Respectfully ask that we find another solution so that we can keep Mr. Griffith. Everything everybody has said is what I have in my notes. We need a dedicated string pedagogue. We need a full-time job teacher who will stick to that full-time job and continue to build the program. We need them not to burn out. I think that we need more than Mr. Griffith at this current time, and so to remove him makes me nervous. I want you to know that when I prepared to marry last spring, I advocated to keep my daughter in the Wheaton school system, but my husband said, please check out the Batavia schools. I did some research. Mr. Zemke graciously gave us a tour of the school, convinced me that the school districts are, I could tell, of similar quality, but it was Mr. Griffith that tipped the scales. I'm an orchestra teacher as well. I know what Mr. Griffith does. My daughter has played cello since she was 3.5. She has thrived in his program. He has taken care of her advanced skills. He has taken care of special needs kids. I can see, I volunteered in his program. I see him relate the wonderful rapport with the kids. I see him teach them with rigor, and he's a highly effective teacher. And I can't imagine not having him there for her. We moved here. He was the reason that we came. And so I ask you, please, to see what you can do to try to keep him as a full-time teacher, especially for Mr. Griffith. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 13, Cameron Gravel, and number 14, Maureen Hicks is on deck.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Gravel. I am a renewal orchestra student who's going into freshman year next year. I play the double bass, and I wasn't always able to attend a total middle school orchestra. I had the opportunity to attend the STEM school, which is part of our district and 3 other districts, for 2 years, and I feel very lucky to have been able to do that. I didn't think I was going to be able to attend RMS, let alone be in a school orchestra, but then I was told about Strings, which is an extracurricular orchestra that serves the community in a meaningful and impactful way. Some of the venues Strings has played at, but not limited to, was the Batavia Farmers Market, a rock concert, and a theater before the Wizard of Oz, which many people came to see. I would not have had the opportunity to work on more advanced music and go to all these places if Chris Griffith had not moved to the Batavia School District from Yorkville. I've seen Chris Griffith inspiring students and adults alike, and many of these same people are here before us tonight. He's helped students so much with his website and YouTube channel detailing specific parts and instruments and how to take care of them and how to play quality music. Like Mr. Griffith, I was inspired to move to Rotella because of its amazing music program. I was inspired to move from one of the finest STEM schools in America and arguably one of the finest STEM schools in America just to have 1 year under Chris Griffith. Batavia has dedicated students, private teachers, and parents. But all of this is unfulfilled if we do not have a qualified orchestra director. Please retain Chris Griffith as a full-time orchestra director, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Maureen Hicks, number 14, and after her we'll have Austin Liddell.
I'm Maureen Hicks. My children were part of Batavia music programs from 5th through 12th grade. 2/3 of them are now pursuing music degrees in college. I was a music educator in the public school system, currently a private teacher. My husband owns a small music business in Batavia. The reason why Batavia has achieved musical excellence is due to continuity in building its musicians. If there are gaps, your program suffers. And if there is not enough support for a program, it will fail. Learning music and an instrument in general has so many merits, including brain development, creativity, perseverance, patience, and time management. But what is really important is when music learning coincides with ensemble learning. Talk about 21st century learning skills, skills needed to prepare students for the future, skills needed to make students function successfully in a rapidly changing society. Music education does that. The 4 C's of 21st century learning are creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and problem solving. Teamwork is essential for our future workforce and leadership. And music ensembles nurture and support teamwork, collaboration, communication, and problem solving. Learning your instrument in the privacy of your own living room is one thing, but playing in an ensemble gives you reason and motivation to practice, to produce a product for the benefit of the whole. The ultimate goal, musicians performing with a group, knowing the hard work that they have done and the hard work that the group has done to bring a performance to a community is remarkable. And it motivates musicians to the next level of their own musical ability and to the next higher level performance. Musical growth builds self-esteem, community, and provides students the opportunity to fit when they do not fit elsewhere. If there is not enough support to keep the continuity of musical learning intact, those gaps will result in fractures in the system, and what you end up with at the high school level will not be the same that Batavia has been so proud of all these years. Thank you so much.
All right, on to Gazelle number 15, and then after that, Jessica Gebhardt, number 16.
Good evening. I'm Austin Gazelle, and I'm a sophomore at Batavia High School. I'm a member of the Batavia Wind Symphony, which will be competing in Super State at the University of Illinois next month. Having played the trumpet ever since 4th grade and being in the highest audition group in the high school, I know the amount of hard work and dedication it takes to successfully create music and to direct it. I look to the example of all my directors, and I see the hours and dedication they put into the work. Playing under the direction of the team and band directors has taught me this point of responsibility and teamwork. My fellow students in orchestra have the same kind of experience with the directors. Nothing is coming from a difficult class. It's your room where you can get lost in music. The students of Mr. Griffith deserve nothing less than getting the same continued experience with a beloved orchestra director. Mr. Griffith is highly experienced, highly qualified, and highly revered by all. He should remain in his post as Rotolo Orchestra Director full-time to keep the excellent quality of the Batavia music program. In my 7th grade year of school, I was given the opportunity to leave the district and to go to a private gifted academy. The reason I stayed was music. Our music programs are the reasons why families move to Batavia districts, and it's the reason why they stay. Music has changed my life, and it's changing the lives of our students daily. The district's vision is Batavia Public Schools will be a district recognized for excellence in our commitment to students, collaborative culture, and continuous improvement. How can the district expect to fully live up to the commitment to students if they get rid of a key link in the musical education of a large portion of the student body? If the board was committed to keeping this core value, they would meet the needs of orchestra students by retaining Mr. Griffith's position. We are the students taking care and taking ownership of our learning by advocating for the restoration of Mr. Griffith's full-time position as middle school orchestra director. I respectfully implore you to extend the time allotted for those who have come forward to speak to do justice on this topic. Thank you for your time.
Jessica Gebhardt, number 16, and then Jeff Gazelle, number 17.
I'm just looking at the time, and I would like to give up my time to these 2 young ladies, Avery and Maria, because I think it's important to hear from the kids more than me.
Do you have any comments you want to give me again?
I will, yeah, I'd rather they speak.
So we'll go ahead to your, I'm sorry.
Paper number 19.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Amy Pearson. And I'm Maria Savas. We are current 6th grade orchestra students. We'd like to thank you for your time and commitment. And when we found out that Mr. Griffith, the orchestra teacher at the Polo Middle School, was being let go, we were devastated. Though we understand that there are reasons to let him go, we know he has made an impact on many students' lives. Students are outraged and upset by this decision, and teachers think of it as a major loss in the music department. Mr. Griffith truly loves music and the students he plays it with. The petition, which has 2,645 signatures, goes to show how much Mr. Griffith means to us. I encourage you all to read the comments below the petition.
We know many students who have dropped out of the orchestra for next year due to this decision. Incoming orchestra students are just as upset as we are. Mr. Griffith works very hard and is the only orchestra teacher at our school. He deserves to stay. At the All-City Concert on Friday, April 12th, when Mr. Griffith introduced himself, he got a standing ovation. Everyone was standing and clapping, wearing green to show Mr. Griffith how we feel about his dedication and contribution to the orchestra family.
My younger sister Caitlin said I'm really upset because I wanted to have him. Not only orchestra students, but band and choir students are impacted. A current 6th grade orchestra student stated, Mr. Griffith is an amazing teacher and he really cares about us. He loves what he does and is an amazing asset to the Batavia music program. We all love Mr. Griffith and do not want to let him go.
Mr. Griffith has changed many students' lives. We are devastated for the loss of a spectacular, inspiring teacher. He helped us become the musicians we are today. Mr. Griffith makes orchestra fun and exciting, in a period that everyone can look forward to.
Mr. Griffith is not only a teacher but a friend and has helped us through hard times. Orchestra is a family and it will never be the same without Mr. Griffith.
We have a visual board expressing how truly astonishing Mr. Griffith is. When Mr. Griffith gave us the news that he was leaving, I started crying immediately.
Mr. Griffith is not only a good person, but the most passionate teacher we have ever met. When we ask ourselves why we do orchestra, we realize it's because of Mr. G.
I'd like to thank you for your time.
Have a great night.
And on the other side of this poster board, within the 2 lunches of 6th grade, this is how many people signed this poster board. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we have other students that wanted to speak, we can call you first, and then say the don'ts for after, if that's all right? Yeah, so, were there other students who had signed up to speak? Yes, no? Okay, then at this time, we're going to suspend comments, we'll hold on to these. Anybody who at the end of our other business would still like to speak, we'd be happy to call you up and hear from you. But also, like we mentioned, you can leave written comments with Kathy Scavini, and she will make sure they're distributed to all board members. All right. We will move on to our consent agenda. Our consent.
PPS partners.
Oh, I apologize. I jumped right ahead. Sorry, Todd, was that there? Oh, we have PPS. All right. Where are the PPS at the end? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. To start, I just want to take a moment of personal privilege and say, as a teacher who's representing the teachers in Batavia, to hear the kids that are behind me get up and speak as eloquently and passionately and compassionately as they did, you guys are great. So thank you guys for coming out. Just real quickly on my end, first off, I'd like to say congratulations on the past board election, Kathy and Chris, and to Aaron, who's going to be coming on, and to work with you all on the new board. And then the only other thing is, last month I told you we had our scholarship from the trivia night. We were rewarding 2 $2,108 scholarships to 2 seniors this year. And I'm here to announce that the winners of those are Taylor Fleury, who's going to be going to Purdue University, and she's going to be studying early childhood education and exceptional needs. And Andrew Stasel, who's going to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and to be studying mathematics with a secondary education minor. So we have 2 education candidates that are going to receive their scholarships this year from the BEA and from everyone that came out and supported us at our trivia night. That's all I have.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, and you mentioned we have committee updates. to the end of the meeting, so I'd like to move on to the consent agenda, which is our opportunity to approve a number of routine items in one vote. All of the items are detailed in the board vote, so Mr. Pierce, can you take us through the consent?
Absolutely. 4.1 and 4.2 are the approval of the regular meeting and closed session meeting minutes from March 19, 2019. 4.3 is the personnel report. 4.4 is our monthly payroll and bills. 4.5, destruction of closed session recordings from October 17, 2017. We had 3 donations that were in the board book this month. The City of Batavia spent $3,000 for a post-prom committee. Chip-In gave $1,200 over at Storm for some social emotional learning supports. And Stephen Lynn Buckles gave $500 for camera equipment for the art department at Batavia High School. 4.7 is the administrator and exempt wages. 4.8 is the IHS membership renewal for Batavia High School. 4.9 is the approval of our fiscal year 20 Chromebook replacement. 4.10, authorization of our emergency purchase to replace boilers. And 4.11 is the approval of the fiscal year 20 computer purchase. Lastly, 4.12 is the approval of the consent agenda.
Are there any items for removal or further discussion or clarification? No, they can't be. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Badenbauer, second by Locke. Kate, could you please call the roll?
Badenbauer.
Yes.
Lakeman.
Yes.
Dremel.
I'm abstaining because my son is on the personnel.
Okay. Gaspar.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda approved as presented. Next item on our agenda is our reports.
So every month we have reports. These are not things that the board votes on, but we have, they are presented every month. So the first is the list of FOIA requests for the month. You can look at those there, and all but one were granted. One of them being a student record that we're not allowed to give to a member of the media. And then the treasurer's reports come next, and I would entertain any questions on either of those 2 reports before we go on to the facilities master plan report. All right, thank you. So the board, I wanted to just take the opportunity to talk about our facilities master plan. DLR Group architects are assisting with the master plan. I do know that at least one member of the original facilities committee, or a couple of you, are in the audience. And we continued that work by asking an architect to come in and help us to bring that plan to life. So in that first round, we identified some areas in our buildings that were in need of improvement, and we didn't know how much that was going to cost, so we brought in another set of, then we actually employed some architects to come in and tell us that. So it's going to take about 15 to 18 months to come up with this educational master facilities plan, and throughout that 15 months, there's 4 or 5 different phases, and we are now in phase 1. We hit the ground running. You guys approved it last month. And then there are many opportunities for the community to give their feedback, and the staff and the board. And so I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that are happening in phase 1 right now and invite people to participate. The first part of this phase right now, we're doing indoor environmental testing. So we're testing air quality, and we're actually getting some students to help. Some of the high school AP environmental science students are helping with that. They're learning about the process and how this DLR group is going to test our facilities for the environment. And then all of the staff that are in the school building were given a survey about their own comfort. They are asked to talk about their own thermal comfort and the air quality and give their opinions. I should take one step back and say phase 1 is like a month and a half of data collection of all kinds. And I'm going to go through the types right now of the data that they're collecting. And then at this meeting next month, at your board meeting in May, the DLR group is going to come and give a presentation about what they found. And so that first piece is the environmental testing. Energy use, they're looking at all of our bills, all of our energy for the last many years, I believe. They're doing a listening tour with staff. What they're doing is they're going into every building, sending in a group of architects that are shadowing students. that follow the students through their day so they can help us to, they can see the buildings from the student perspective, but then attached to that day, the architects are having a meeting for staff either before or after, or in some cases before and after school. And then at the end of this phase, they're going to collect all this data, they're going to report back to the board, and they also want to report back to the community. That's their first report out. And as I told you when you hire them, there's going to be lots of reporting out. So there's a couple community opportunities to hear this report, but also that's our first time they actually have an activity for the community, and we have that on Thursday, May 23rd from 6 to 8 at Bertolo. And then a daytime option for the people that are available during the day on Friday, May 24th at the Rosalie Jones Administration Center. So I wanted to make sure that we got that in the record, all of these opportunities. That's just phase one. Phase two then becomes some curriculum work with teachers, talking about how the curriculum drives our facilities needs. In many cases, our instructional practices are changing, and the way that we use our facilities are also changing. So that's the kickoff to phase two. Questions about phase one or the reporting out? Tony, did I miss anything?
Oh, you got it.
All right. So if you're interested, it's in the board report with the links to the webpage that Sue Gilliland created, and Sue Gilliland created a webpage and all of the different things that are happening in the different phases with the dates and the times. So you can go to the board report, and if you weren't taking notes and wanted to attend some of that, and it's in the board report. And that's it for that particular report.
All right, that's it for reports. We have a number of items for action tonight. The first one is the approval of the contract with the Batavia.
So I'll be joined by a few of my colleagues on some other items, but I'll be by my own side on this particular one. But I'll ask Mark Anderson to come on up so that we're ready for the next item, wherever he happens to be. Participation in middle school football is declining rather quickly. And a number of schools in the area are not participating in conferences. They're pulling back their programs, and they're also seeing participation declines. And so that particular area of athletics is seeing a dynamic that we anticipated, but is here probably a little sooner than we would have projected. And so in having discussions with football coaches at the middle school and high school levels and our athletic directors, we're recommending to you that we discontinue the program for the middle school and essentially transfer it out to Batavia youth football. That provides a couple of advantages to us. We can transfer some of those financial resources that we use to pay those coaches to other areas and reinvest them in student activities and give students other opportunities to participate in their school community. But to get this program up and running, it would require some support from the board in the short term. And so what we're recommending to you is that the board approve a 2-year contract with Batavia Youth Football, where the board would provide some financial support for 2 years, and then transfer the ownership of the current equipment, the pads, shoulder pads, the helmets, uniforms, to Batavia Youth Football. And they would use those and for that program. They would also commit to hiring 4 of our coaches that offer right of first refusal to them. They would have an opportunity to work for Batavia Youth Football and continue coaching in the program so that there would be continuity. And they would also hold participation rates comparable to what we currently charge students to participate in athletics at the middle school. And they would do that for a couple years. They would also promise not to make a profit off of our students. And if they did, they would have to pay the board back, whatever that profit might be. And so in the long term, we do think this is in the best interests of the school district and the football program. And it is a nice fit because Batavia Youth Football has a program that runs from 1st grade through 7th grade as it stands, and it would continue through 8th grade with this new, basically expansion of their program. And they also instill the same values that we expect our football players to have at the high school level. So it is a nice fit. That's the gist of it. What questions might you have on that topic?
How do we not make a profit, Tony? I mean, are we auditing them or done?
Their fiscal agent is the Batavia Park District. So those records would be from the Park District.
So to be clear, we're no longer going to be supporting football at the middle school level through the school district.
We're transferring it essentially to Batavia Youth Football, supporting it financially for 2 years, and then that would be it.
Okay.
Supporting it financially only for a couple coaches.
4 coaches for 2 years.
Any other questions? All right, I would entertain a motion to authorize a contract with Batavia Youth Football to support the establishment of an independent football program for 7th and 8th grade students. Moved by Locke, second by Blakely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Commercial mower, somehow, Mark.
Yes, yes. As you saw in the report, and you probably heard in the last few months, there's been a change in the intergovernmental agreement with the Park District. And part of that agreement was they basically mowed a certain share of our district. And it's a sizable amount. And with that, we now take on the responsibility. We weren't equipped, they've done it for a number of years, we weren't equipped with that, and so that is why I'm bringing this purchase forward to you. And in doing so, did a little more research and found a piece of equipment that also will be used in the winter as well. So it's not just 6 months out of the year or 8 months out of the year, it will be used at 12 months. And after this past winter, as we know, it will be very useful. So this is, right. So as you can see there, this is what I'm recommending. And again, you know, hopefully we don't have to use the winter option as much come this winter, but it's basically an option that we use other equipment very similar in the winter, and it has been successful us and really cutting down on labor hours and trying to cut down on salt as much as possible. Any questions?
Any questions about this very exciting piece of information? Somebody's going to be excited.
Oh, yeah.
And
People in my apartment, very excited.
And I would entertain a motion to purchase the commercial mower and snow remover from Raiders Inc. in the amount of $72,000. Moved by Labar, second by Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then I would ask Don Seawall, or who might and he'll handle the next 2 items related to the video surveillance systems.
Nope. So there's 2 items. I'm going to kind of discuss them together if that's all right. If you'd like them broken out separately, I'd be happy to do that. So in 2010, the district installed the camera surveillance system with approximately 180 cameras. Over the subsequent years, at a very slow pace, there were some onesie, twosie additions of cameras. And then a little more recently, due to current events perhaps, the desire to increase the cameras has been talked about more in different groups and discussions. Last summer, as you probably recall, we added, I believe it was 23 cameras at the high school and middle school. And they were a much higher quality camera. That some of them had 180-degree views, some had 360 views like in the gyms. And as soon as the project was done, those 2 buildings said, this is great, this is what we needed, we need more. And unfortunately, after we added those 23 cameras, due to the additional archived footage, as we became full. Our back-end system that is in our data center cannot support the addition of any more cameras. The cameras are also a higher resolution, so they require more storage space as well. And so my response to the buildings that said we need more cameras, I said that has to be a bigger discussion other than just adding cameras. We have to work out a way to increase the rest of the system. So I was looking at different options of how we can do this over the long term, and just said we can't do anything, not a single camera, until we can come up with a plan. I've been working with Tony, and we came up with a plan that we can first increase the back-end system, and at that point we can then start adding additional cameras. With the back-end system that we're looking at, it gives us growth for years to come. We could add 50 cameras, and that we could still have quite a bit room beyond that. I don't have an exact number, but hundreds. And so that's what we're looking at there. And the camera piece also includes replacing some cameras that have just been worn down, mostly exterior cameras being exposed to sun, snow, cold. Seals have broken that they look cloudy, dirty. We've tried cleaning them, and we've determined they need replacement due to the seal.
So the reason why this is in two different items is because it's with two separate vendors. So you'll have to take two separate actions. But you could do a voice vote.
So, can I ask some questions?
Absolutely.
We're doing physical on-site hardware for the video archiving. Is that a legal requirement, or have we explored using near infinite cloud storage for such things?
We have, no, we have not explored that. We've been doing it internal. We have, we're centralized at RJAC. We're using the high-speed fiber network. We can get everything very efficiently without paying rent in the cloud.
We didn't look at it for this particular project, but the last time when we upgraded our data systems and our storage area network, we looked at the cost of going to the cloud, and it was far more expensive than anything
That was like a couple of years ago.
So,
So, just to keeping it for the future, and then probably, I mean, we looked at what other districts similar are doing, and they all physical storage on site. It just seems like such a maintenance nightmare to me.
We have it pretty much automated. That it's pretty low maintenance beyond the initial setup. And as far as Kane County goes, I believe exclusively everything is hosted internally.
it has been a couple years since we looked, but the price differential was so large that I would be surprised if the calculus changed.
Do we do is our Google storage localized too, or is that through?
Well, we have looked at, for not video footage, but just other, putting other systems up there, and it's really, there's no comparison in the savings.
How many fill-in-the-blank bytes are we getting for that money? Is it measured in terabytes still, or is it something?
Hundreds of terabytes.
Okay. I just didn't know if we moved up to like the next 9 what it was.
We're not quite there. No.
So,
sorry.
I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but how far back can we go back now in order to check video versus how far back will we be able to check the new system?
At this moment in time, we're 15 days approximately, and the original design where we're looking to go back to is 30 days.
Any other questions? Okay, so the first vote we'll take is, I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase and installation of video cameras from Eagle Security Fire and Life Safety Inc. in the amount not to exceed $125,000.
Can I move that we flip-flop them since we can't have cameras if we don't have
I was
storage?
laughing about that, yeah. I would actually agree. I think it's a good choice.
Does that make sense, Tom?
Yes.
All right, so let's start with storage. I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a video storage array from Continental Resources in the amount of $121,675.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bob Beamer, second by Bo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now let's go talk about cameras. I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase and installation of video cameras from Eagle Security, Fire, and Life Safety in the amount not to exceed $125,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lowe, second by Beatty Bar. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, John.
All right, so then there's the insurance renewal, and we've been talking about the insurance renewal for a number of years. This is an area of priority for the board, and as I often remind folks, it's the area of the greatest financial threat we face as a school district. Our medical insurance rates have increased dramatically in the last 10 years, driven primarily by the nature of benefits that we offer, and in any comparison that we look at, we have some of the most generous medical insurance benefits that exist. And over the last 10 years, we have seen increases on average each year of in excess of 9%, and in the last 5 years, of course, it's in excess of 12%, actually closer to 13, as I recall. And so we've been working on how to redesign our plans in such a way that we continue to offer high-quality benefits, but isn't growing at such an extreme clip. So that has been the work that the insurance committee has undertaken these last few years. And as we look at things deeper, we realize that we have some opportunities that we're self-insured for our PPO plans, and we don't necessarily have to follow the schedule that we have historically with our plan here. When we were a fully insured or retroactively insured plan, retrospectively insured plan, excuse me, we had a plan year that was from July 1st through June 30th because that was our fiscal year and that was what our tradition was. But we haven't fully capitalized on moving to self-insurance, which we did about 5 years ago. And that affords us more opportunities to manage those costs if we have an adequate insurance reserve. And we are continuing to build that insurance reserve. It's not at what we want it to be, but we're making progress. But if we do maintain an adequate insurance reserve, it makes more sense for us to have a plan year that runs the calendar year. So January 1st through December 31st. And so what that would require in transitioning to a new plan year would be an interim short year, a 6-month implementation period, where we still have to hold an open enrollment as we traditionally do in May each year. But we would hold another open enrollment in November. And so that gives us an opportunity to kind of repackage our plans and have them make more sense as to how they're organized, and then have the board approve those in September or October before the open enrollment happens in November. So essentially what we're asking for, the insurance committee is recommending and asking for is a bit more grace. We know that the board is expecting changes at this particular meeting. But it makes more sense to actually hold off on some of the changes because of the 6-month implementation period. We really do think that this new plan year makes a lot of sense for our employees and for the board. And we don't want to change a bunch of stuff to change it again in November. The target for our insurance plans is to get below a 5% increase. That's what was outlined in our financial forecast, and that's what balances our budget, which is still, I would add, rather high, but is much better than the experience that we've been having. And it is actually doable for this year. So even though in this report, as you see, the recommended increase is 7% on average between the plans, we do believe that with the changes that we make in September and October, taking effect on January 1, we'll still be able to hit our year-end target of less than 5%. Now, we're not going to necessarily fix all of our problems in 1 year. It's going to be a multi-year task. It could take anywhere from 3 to 5 more years for us to get there. But these are the first steps. And really the first step is changing the plan here as we see it. And there are more details to come. They're not available for you now, but there will be more details to come in the future. Some details about the actual renewal that we're asking you to approve tonight includes, as I mentioned, that 7% increase in premiums. That's the average. The PPO plans actually increase 7%, and the HMO plan that we offer would increase 16% in terms of premiums. We also offer an HSA plan, and that would increase by 7% as well. We're recommending the addition of a number of programs that would save us some money in terms of Benefit Value Advisor is a program offered by Blue Cross Blue Shield where employees can Blue Cross or Blue Cross can reach out to them and they can find more cost-effective solutions at high quality at other facilities that they might have otherwise chosen. It might be more convenient in terms of location, but can save thousands and in some extreme cases tens of thousands of dollars if they use different facilities, and sometimes even the very same doctors. Also adding a program called Smart 90 that requires employees to use a mail-in prescription program for certain prescriptions. Those are maintenance medications that can be prescribed in 90-day increments. It would offer a grace period for folks if they refilled those, but after that grace period expired, they would actually pay a higher copay if they didn't use a mail-in program. So I need opioid management and diabetes management, and then also some well-being management programs that don't cost anything but help our members access better care and help manage their health and help manage everybody's costs, both the boards and employees alike. Combining our dental plan, we currently have 3 dental offerings. We combine our plan, move to a new provider, Guardian, that actually would save us almost 5% over the current costs. Stop loss insurance, unfortunately, we're actually having a good year in terms of medical claims. We have a few very potential large claimants, and our stop loss insurance, being that we're self-insured, is going to go up dramatically. The carrier recommended more than 100% increase, and we were able to finagle it down to 75 by making some adjustments in the plan, as we have outlined here, and it would take it to 74% increase. So that's not very good, but that's how these things work. And then renewal with our insurance broker discount for an annual contract. Yeah, be good. Answer any questions that you might have on this.
Open enrollment starts when again?
So we would have 2 open enrollments. One for a 6-month plan year that runs from July 1st through December 31st. That would take place in May, as it traditionally does. It's often very hectic because we often ask you as a board to approve this plan in April each year. This is the meeting traditionally where the board approves the insurance renewal. And we have to go from that approval from the board to communicating with employees to open enrollment in a very short time frame. This is a very busy time of year in schools, and it's rather hectic. And it makes more sense for us on multiple levels to do this in the fall. So the second open enrollment would take place in November, for renewal beginning in January 1. We'd likely bring a preview of the plan to you in September. That's our intention. All things going well, it's certainly no later than October for a decision.
We actually, we're thinking to vote on it in October.
Yes.
The second one. First one today.
Yes.
So this is the last spring enrollment?
It would be the last spring enrollment, open enrollment, yes.
You had mentioned that this is a step on getting us towards the end game. What is our end goals? Just so that we...
As it stands now, to balance our budget in fiscal 20, which is next year, and beyond, we would have to hit a target of less than 5% increase.
Do you remember that?
On average of those years.
And we're closer to the 15 now than 5.
I just wanted it to be out loud here.
Got it. All right.
So everybody heard what our end goal is. And then the last question I have is the stop loss. That varies every year based on the employees that we actually have in the pool at the current time.
And what their diagnoses are. It doesn't vary this much. This is quite extreme for us.
So the stop loss is based on them having information about our actual employees and our actual claims.
Yes. We didn't just take their word for it. We shopped around and marketed it and sought other carriers, and nobody was offering us a better price.
Sometimes people are 6 months.
Yes.
Well, but even for the other plans, what's the term where like 100% accurate? contextualize or something like that because they have so much live data on us. So like all the other plans vary from year to year based on that information as well.
Yes. And, yeah, if we don't sign the contract with them, I think by tomorrow, they'll want another month's worth of claims so that they can reevaluate their decision. So they're very eager to help us.
I just appreciate all the work that you've done. I know it's not fun and exciting. And Lindsay, it's been
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, because Lindsay's been instrumental. Kathy and her in our offices, it wouldn't happen without their efforts, and certainly the efforts of the insurance community too.
I think this is a grave concern for the board, the escalating healthcare costs. And going forward, I think it's incumbent, and I'm not saying anything that you don't know already, but I think we really need to look at these costs and get it escalating. It's a quarter of our budget, basically. So I will be voting no tonight, just to send a message that we need to really look at this. I'm not voting no because I don't think our employees need health care.
But you do realize if we all voted no, they'd be out.
Well,
okay.
There you go. Then they'd have to find something else to do. But that's why I just wanted on the record that I think we all don't like this. So, but there's not much we can do about it.
We're working on it.
But we're working on it.
Yes.
I wish it was a little quicker. But I appreciate your effort. So I just wanted to know where I stood.
You should definitely invite yourself to some of the meetings.
Oh,
They're interesting.
I get it. But I have a big problem with this kind of insurance and what the real world out there is getting to. I think there needs to be some sort of middle ground on that. That's what's needed.
Any closing comments? All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the insurance contracts and the premiums as specified in the board documents.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Blakely, second by Gadybar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Yep, okay. All right, our next action item is regarding to this particular board. So our Board of Education has 7 members. As you guys can see, John Bryan isn't with us, but the other 7 board members are on the current board. And what we'll do next is we will certify the election results to get them in the record, the official record to show that we held an election, 6 people ran, and the top 3 vote getters, Aaron Meitzler, 1669, Kathy Dremel, 1591, Chris Lowe, 1489. So I need the board to actually vote on that to certify that those are accurate. They've been, the votes are tallied through the King County Board of Elections, and they certified the results about 10 days ago. So those are accurate. And once the board does certify those results, then a couple things happen. So we're going to swear in the new members, which will be Chris, Kathy, and Aaron. And then we have to adjourn the board of the 7 of you because you guys will never do business again as the 7 as they existed. And then at the end of the evening, at the end of the comments, then we will have a second board meeting where they select officers, and we're going to invite Aaron up at that time to join us for that second meeting. So right now, we need to actually certify that those are the correct results.
I would entertain a motion to certify the abstract of votes from the election held on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right. Congratulations to the 3 new board members. And our Vice President, John Gaspar, is going to help them to take their oath of office as required by state statute. So if you guys want to go around to the front.
State your name.
John's going to have you do a little call and response at the beginning, then he's going to read you a lot of bullets, and then you're not going to do these ads, so you're not all.
I will explain. I will explain.
Excuse me, we are still conducting a meeting right now. Excuse me, we are still conducting a meeting. Thank you.
All right, there's going to be two parts. In the first part, you're going to repeat after me. Okay, and the next part will be bullet points, which at the end, you'll just say, I swear. All right? So please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully discharge the duties. Of the office of member of the Board of Education. In accordance with the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Illinois. And the laws of the State of Illinois. To the best of my ability. Now I'm going to read 10 bullet points, and at the end you can just say, I swear. Do you swear you will respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets? I just say, I swear. You will encourage and respect the free expressions of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while representing the privacy of students and employees. I affirm. You will recognize that a board member that has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
I affirm.
You will abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
I affirm.
As part of the Board of Education, you will accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of students in the school district. You will foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Batavia Public School District 101. You will assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. You will strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. You will serve as educators' key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision of Batavia School District 101. And finally, you will strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Congratulations, you are now a board member for Batavia District 131. 101.
We'll wait till the next meeting starts.
Are we doing our
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move to administrative comments first.
In the interest of time, I would just like to congratulate our newest member and congratulate Becky and Chris on their re-election.
Board comments tonight.
And committee comments if
Oh, and then, yeah, if you have comments.
I just want to congratulate Erin. Thank everyone for coming out and participating in tonight's meeting. I know you just need to trust the process. You may not always get what you want, but we are doing the best we can for our students. And then I do want to thank, I just wanted to say one thing, and I did write it down. Wanted to thank students, parents, staff, administration, and all our first responders. We had an incident at the high school back on the 8th of April. I'm sure everyone's aware of it. A parent's worst nightmare. And everyone did their job. Everything worked out in the end. And I just want to thank publicly everyone for their role that they played. No committee.
I have one quick kind of committee update. The Illinois legislature is currently discussing some changes to PE policy, which could impact our schools in a negative way, forcing us to do things that we may not necessarily want to do. Right now that seems to be on hold, but if that comes back up, that may be something that we would wish to engage in. I will let you know. Absolutely.
I'm going to go easy to hard. Easy, the young speakers that were here tonight, I know that Todd kind of already mentioned this, but off the charts. I know that you're all amazing musicians, but there's so many of you that have so many talents, probably due to your practice in musicianship, but the speaking was incredible. The adults had difficulty adjusting to time. You young speakers did not. So just take that to heart. You're all excellent communicators. Also, a little bit more difficult but easy, my committee update, and it's very timely because I sit on the Responsible Resource Allocation Committee, and we talk about all kinds of big numbers and things that we talked about tonight with insurance and how we're going to purchase lawnmowers that are also, snow plows and things like that. But we do a lot of forecasting and predicting, and this week or this month we talked about equity allocation models. So we're taking a look at the district in all these different angles, and we're having to put all these pieces together and figure out how to make the best thing for you young speakers. And sometimes that impacts your educators. Sometimes it impacts the places where you get your education. Sometimes it impacts how you get to school. All these different things. So there's tons of big pieces and there's tons of tiny pieces. And this is where it gets really difficult. So I've moved from easy to difficult. I'm a music parent. All of my kids were musicians or are musicians. They do something in performing arts. This band program is amazing. But you know what else is amazing as well? The community as a whole, this district as a whole. We have to work together as a big community. We have to trust all these pieces that come together, and none of us has the exact answer to all the questions and all the challenges. But through communication, through hanging out and things like this, I love that you all stayed, because the young ones, you get to see the process. The older ones, you get to see the process. It isn't just about who stays, who goes, who gets, who doesn't. There's all kinds of pieces that fit into this. So thank you for staying. Please understand that this is very difficult for all of us. Understand it's emotionally draining for all of you. It's emotionally draining for all of us because a lot of times we don't hear when we do good things. We've been told time and time again that we've been on the wrong side of history for you students many times. And someone who sits up here on this board, I can't believe that, because I've raised kids in this community. They've been students of this district, and they're all succeeding. Not all the same way, not all in the same things, but we're raising good people in this district. And it does, it takes that community to make that happen. I love the passion, I appreciate it, mad respect, but I also trust the way that we're doing this. I really do. Personally, I can't speak for everyone up here, but personally as a parent of music students in this community, I trust the way we're doing it. Thanks.
I have no committee updates. I just going to say, well said, Bob. I agree. I always like to tell everyone thank you for all the emails and calls that we have come. I do read everything. As Bob said, it's a tough decision. I want to thank everyone at RJAT for getting this venue set up, for doing it, Mr. Modaf and the crew that put everything together. I want to thank everyone at RJAC that answered all my questions this morning and earlier tonight. Welcome Aaron as our new board member, and wish her well along with Kathy and Chris for another term. And he's not here, but thank John Dryden again for his 4 years of service. And thank you.
All right, we would like to continue with our public comments, so we will call any order. Anyone who's still here would like to speak. Next on our list was number 16, Jessica Gebhardt.
She actually just left the meeting.
She is like awesome, all right. Deb Frizzell, number 17.
Hey, most of you know me. My husband Matt and I have 6 children that we've raised in this district. They're all music students, either band or orchestra. I want to let you know that when I meet someone outside this district and they learn that our children attend Batavia schools, the comment that I always hear from those people is, oh, Batavia, they have great music programs, don't they? Well, I want to let you know that what you did tonight by approving the consent agenda item to make the Frisco Middle School orchestra director position a half-time position, just put the nail in the coffin of the orchestra program for this district. I believe that sincerely, or I wouldn't be here. We're not just losing a fantastic director at the orchestra program at Rotella Middle School in Chris Griffith. He's irreplaceable. But we're losing an opportunity to maintain the integrity of this district in the eyes of the people who look at us as a benchmark. They look at Batavia music programs and they see the enrichment that it provides our students, and they desire that for their district, and they watch us. We've just lost that respect as a community. Not only that, but we've lost the faith of students who've voiced their opinions and researched the comments that they made tonight, in the hopes that you would listen to their comments and reconsider and table that consent agenda item to consider the options that they and their parents have offered. I just want to put that forward to you and let you know that you've lost my confidence on this issue and on many others. I'm disappointed. Thanks for letting me speak.
Michael Lindeman, number 18 is next, and Tricia Blau is after that.
Change gears for a minute. My name is Michael Lindeman, and I've been a resident of Batavia since the summer of 2015 when my family and I moved back to the Midwest from New York City. Our move to Batavia was solely centered around our oldest son, Luke, who had been diagnosed with autism at the age of 2, and finding the most supportive and progressive special education program in the region for him to begin school at. We ultimately found that here in Batavia. Throughout our 3+ years in Batavia, I cannot say enough about the experience we've had with Lisa Polisi in the special education program, Luke's teachers, therapists, and the staffs at both J.B. Nelson and now Grace McLean Elementary Schools. Luke has made great progress, and we truly believe that a big part of that is because of this program here at BPS. Our experience of having a son with an IEP and working with BPS each year to address and best provide for him has been a true partnership, and as a parent of a child with special needs, there is nothing more important than this. I also know and want you to understand that this is not normal, as my wife and I know plenty of parents in the area and back in New York that have children with special needs that don't feel like they are in a supportive and collaborative environment like we are, and many of them are amazed when we describe to them our experience thus far with Lisa and the program here at the Batavia Public Schools. Batavia has been a great place for us to raise our 3 kids for so many reasons, but most importantly because of this special education department this board has put together and supported, along with the philosophy of truly working with families that Lisa has instilled in her time as the director. For this, my wife and I will forever be indebted, and you all should be commended. Like many other parents of children in the special education department at BPS, my wife and I were saddened and concerned to hear about Lisa's upcoming resignation as director, and our thoughts immediately turned to the future direction of the department. I know that many other families in our positions share the same feelings and concerns. I came here today to share our story and experience with BPS and its special education department for 2 main reasons. 1, to thank you for your part in putting together and supporting the special education department and its philosophies here at BPS. And 2, to ask you to take into consideration everything I've said about how unique of a thing we have going here at BPS, in hopes that the philosophy of the new director you hire will be aligned with that of Lisa Polisi and her current staff. Thank you very much.
Tricia Blau, number 20. And then Mike Carter is number 21.
Hi, my name is Tricia Blau. My mom graduated from Batavia. I graduated from Batavia. Long family stakeholders in Batavia. I'm just so disappointed in the fact that you guys just shoved that in instead of taking it out of the agenda for the evening and voting on it later. Instead, you put it in, you just slid it right in and went along with it for a half-time position for a full-time job. Mr. Griffith is amazing. My son came home crying because that man means that much to him. He's a 6th grader. He doesn't even know if he wants to play again next year because he's so disappointed. When I go home and tell him that you guys didn't even listen to any of the kids, that you already had your minds made up, he's going to be devastated. And I really would like to know what you as a board how you plan on explaining this to the children. I have lost faith in all of you, the superintendent, the chief academic officer that was so busy in the hallway, he could not be in here this evening. Mr. Zwemke at least had the decency to stay in the room.
I don't envy the task in front of you guys and the things that you guys do here on a weekly basis, monthly basis. I thank you for the time and effort that you guys put into all of this stuff. Very quickly, I've been an educator for 25 years. I'm a therapeutic day school principal, so I work with a number of different kids throughout the course of time. And one of the things that I see happen a lot of times in education in the world today is this excising of passion from people in our classes and in the world around us. And too often we see people texting on their cell phones and Snapchatting like our kids are doing across everywhere. My daughter is a very different kind of child, and she really locked into the music program at Batavia and Mr. Griffith this year, and he's become her favorite teacher. Music fills a void for her that I think that many other kids feel the same way. She's going under the guidance and mentorship of Mr. Griffith. I realize that tough times do call for tough measures. There's no way around that. I mean, here are the things that you guys have to go through each time you go up there. It's pretty remarkable. I don't think that losing a teacher of Mr. Griffith's caliber does anything to help the fabric of Batavia. You spoke very eloquently about that, Mr. Biddybar, and I really appreciate that. My daughter plays the violin, and I'd rather see her flexing those muscles than her texting thumbs and her Snapchatting thumbs at this point. I would like to ask, as a citizen of Batavia for the last 15 years, that you guys look at any and all options rather than sending a wildly talented, fun, kind, energetic person to another district where we lose from that. He gives kids who might not fit into other niches a place to be, and I think he's a crucial piece of the Batavia puzzle. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Jeff Huda.
Good evening. Just want to, again, I know you heard it all. The position that you are filling with a halftime position is not a halftime position. Our students deserve better. They deserve more. We've seen the effects of what this program has done for them. And again, we're not even just losing a half position. We're losing Mr. Griffith, and that is a huge loss. The incredible work I've seen him do. Again, my son was one of the ones who were up there earlier and talked. We talked about how he wrote a piece of music, and Mr. Griffith ran with it, helped him get that into the IDMA, and won third in state. The other part of that story is he then followed that up and said, Josh, why don't you write a piece for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade? And sat down with him and worked with him to make sure that it was a 6th grader program, because my son will write these incredible things that no human could play. So he helped them say, no, here are the notes you have to have. It can only be quarter notes. It can only be in this range. That's not a teacher. That's somebody who truly cares. I know all of our key teachers care, and I understand the business aspect. You can't just keep expanding your budget. But I ask that you consider any other avenue to try to keep that a full-time position, first of all, and second of all, please keep Mr. Griffith, because he means that much to all these kids. Thank you.
Kathleen McGrath.
Can I ask all of you if you can raise your hand if you've been to an orchestra concert? Okay, so these decisions should show me that we don't have administration support for art and music programs in our schools. It's clearly our priority to our community, displayed in events dating back to 1957. With our first annual art fair, we had a local print gallery called The Frame with Philip Elmstrom. These days we have APAC, Water Street Studios, and numerous displays of artistic talent throughout the Fox Valley. Our music programs are, along with exploratory classes, are not extracurricular activities that are often compared to athletics. Programs increase excitement, interest, engagement, school attendance, professional development, and learning. We've heard that a lot tonight. Administration has continually found ways to reduce these thriving areas rather than support them. I do not appreciate how these directives have been communicated. I've heard that a lot tonight as well. I've spoken with many school districts about their art programs and music programs to get an understanding, as well as the youth symphony orchestras. All of the directors, fine art chairs, and music teachers knew about Batavia's reputation. And I gave them gasp and I didn't hear what we were doing. They agree that the versatility of music education and art degrees are meant for smaller schools that have only a single art teacher or none, or music teacher, not an established suburb district, especially one winning awards. Many of these professionals have also stated that these cuts are not needed, should not be done at the middle school level. With recent developments of the half-load orchestra position at Rotolo Middle School, Ms. Liska, I would, and to have Mr. Griffith at Batavia High School in a full-time position, possibly. Knowing these teaching style and number of students, it would be a better option to have Mr. Griffith remain full-time. For these reasons, the orchestra has fewer numbers, smaller student ratio, rather it would be more beneficial to an instructor. I think the one thing I want to ask for the Board of Education today is to just think about and help us be active in our community and represent us as a community and hear us, please.
Kimberly Waller-Scarron.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Waller-Scarron. I've lived in Batavia since 2002, and my two children are currently freshmen at Batavia High School. We recently moved, and when we looked for a new home, we restricted our search to Batavia and areas served by the district so that we could stay in Batavia and benefit from the tremendous music program. Middle school orchestra needs a dedicated teacher that coordinates actively with the elementary and high school and creates a positive orchestra culture. Successful K-12 orchestra programs coordinate string instruction over all three levels, engage in collaborative performances, work closely with music booster organizations, and provide opportunities for extracurricular groups and style variety. This may sound familiar because this is what the best practice literature advises, and we have these things right now through 3 full-time string teachers that work together and provide opportunities such as all-city concerts, strings, string theory, chamber orchestra, and more. This is why our program receives national awards and no recognition. A decision to eliminate this position will disproportionately impact students from lower income families. Private music lessons are an expense many families cannot afford. School-based instruction is the only way some of these students will be able to benefit from music education. And involvement in orchestra is something that pays dividends well beyond high school. For example, involvement in music ensembles in college increases college retention. College scholarships are available to string students, which has already been mentioned, and involvement in orchestra is something that continues throughout a lifetime through community groups and other things, whether you go into that professionally or not. Anyone who was at the All-City concert 2 weeks ago cannot doubt the level of support the community has for Mr. Griffith. Sorry. You're hearing such a strong response because Mr. Griffith is a superb music teacher. Skill and dedication are apparent to anyone who has heard his orchestra perform. The 8th grade musicians performing Star Wars at All-City. We're fortunate enough to have Mr. Griffith for all 3 years, and it showed. Mr. Griffith's dedication goes well beyond the classroom, and I'm going to provide my full remarks in written form. Thank you.
I think you just clear.
All right, so, for once we're not entertaining motions, I am just adjourning CNDA. Okay, CNDA, which means that we are adjourning this board And then we're calling a special meeting to select our new board.
It's the last meeting of this board, so now we're going to call up Aaron, and we're going to start our next meeting. We need just a minute to reassemble, and we'll start that meeting in a minute.
I just did. It's one where I need to know that. Bubble
Qualifications to be hired in high this was not the work.
Take over.
She's been the orchestra All right, so this is official. She's being moved. She's going to be the captain person, solo. And so we've essentially created now a position. He's got certification. Absolutely. Love to have him. Good guy.
Pretty quickly, like a minute.
I wasn't so worried about that, but like that's nice to know. It's like, oh,
Oh, so she is moving like full time over to the co-op? Their board will act on it. I did just scoop, but she's gonna. I would want to. It's not official. They have to write the contract.
well, she told me that she missed that.
They're voting on it.
I won't.
There is an agenda. I'll walk you guys through it. Because there's no president right now. Right. You have to keep that in mind. You're the only real figurehead now. You're the only one that's oh my God. I know, I got my hand over that. That's the way. My executive didn't announce it. She don't put the hair away. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I would like to call to order the special meeting of the Board of Education. Normally, the president would do this, but this is the very first meeting of this Board of Education, so there is no president. But I would ask Kathy to take the roll for this special meeting. Dean Clark.
I'm still here.
Blakely. Here. Ralph. Here. Gaspar.
Here.
Rock.
Here.
Lowe.
Present.
Here. All right, so since there is not a president, because this is a brand new board in front of you, Right now, I'll just take on some of that role. And that every board needs a president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. So over the next minute or two, we're going to figure that out. I would just recommend that you allow me to be the president pro tem right now and Kathy to be the secretary right now while we figure this out. So if there are no objections, we'll just go forward like that.
Let's go for it.
Okay? Because I always wanted to do it. So what we're going to do, we have a couple different agenda items. One is to appoint those 4 people that we just talked about, the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And then we need to talk about our dates, make sure they're out in the public for regular meetings for the year. And then we do have one closed session agenda item that we will go to as our last agenda item tonight.
Where will we go?
The closed session will be in the main officers and conference room. All right. So the first thing we need to do is elect a president. So the terms of the board of officers are 2 years. So we do this every 2 years, an odd numbered years when there's an election. And so it's a 2-year term. The president and the vice president, according to your policy, have to be board members, but the treasurer and the secretary do not. So we're going to start with the president. So I would open the nominations for the office of the president. If you have somebody you would like to nominate for this position, please do so now.
I nominate Kathy Drummond.
All right, we have a nomination for Kathy Drummond for president. Are there any other nominations for the office of president of the Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for other people?
I don't think works like that, sir.
Well, all right, so I'm gonna use my teacher wait time right now and say, are there any other nominations for the officer of president? Okay, so here's the thing, since there are no other nominations and we had one nomination of Kathy Drummond, then Kathy Drummond is your new president. We didn't, you notice how I didn't give her the opportunity. That's not really neat. All right, congratulations, Kathy. I'll just do a couple more things and then hand the meeting back to you. So, a vice president, we also have, is also a 2-year position. And if you want to know what these people are responsible for, it is in the board policy. But I would now take nominations for the office of vice president. And if you would like to nominate someone for this position, the nomination is open.
I would like to nominate John Gaspar.
All right, we have a nomination for John Gaspar as vice president. Are there other nominations for vice president of the board? All right, I'm not hearing any other nominations, which means that we don't need to vote, and John Gaspar is the vice president of the Board of Education. All right, the next 2 don't have to be board members, and this board has traditionally had Tony Inglesi, our chief financial officer, as the treasurer due to his role in the district of chief financial officer. And there's many boards that choose that option, and so this board has always gone with that because the treasurer is responsible for preparing all of the treasurer's reports for the board meetings, so I think it is helpful if it's a staff member that is the treasurer. So,
Do you need a so moved on that?
yeah, you might want to entertain, now that you're the president, let's go ahead and
I
have
would
you entertain
entertain a motion to appoint Tony Inglesi as treasurer of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations, Tony.
In the last officer position is the Secretary of the Board of Education. This board has always had the superintendent as the secretary. The duties of the secretary are to prepare all the contracts and things for signing, to make sure all the paperwork is filed like it needs to be with the county or with the ROE. And so this board has always asked the superintendent to do that, but I'm also open for options if anybody else wanted to be responsible for all of that.
I think we found it useful.
And we all know that Kathy Scapidi is the one actually preparing all those documents.
All right, then I would entertain a motion to appoint Lisa Hitchens as Secretary of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Blakely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Then the last thing is, I would recommend that we approve the dates and times for the regular meetings for July 2019 through June 2020. And what we did was we went and we plugged one meeting in each month, but we know sometimes special meetings happen like this one, where we add a meeting, so the board always has that option. But right now, we put in a meeting every Tuesday, and we wanted to make it after the 20th of the month because the business office has to prepare payroll for you to approve, and so when it's too close to the 15th, it causes a little bit of problems in the business office. So our strategy has been to pick the board meeting that's after the 20th whenever possible. There are 2 months when that's not possible in November and December because of holidays and the district office being closed, but every other month we looked for the Tuesday that came on the 20th or after. So,
Tony, what month are we looking at for new open enrollment?
The open enrollment,
Where we would approve it.
where you would approve it would be October
At the latest, right?
at the latest. We're hoping that we can bring,
So we're cool there.
we'll give you, the plan right now is we bring you a preview in September and we would ask you to approve in October.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because November would make that dicey.
Oh,
Yeah.
It would, yeah, we can't go any later than October.
All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve the dates and times for the regular meetings held from July 2019 through June 2020.
So moved.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Blakely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We do have closed session on the agenda tonight. We will not be taking any action after closed session, but I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
So moved.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Blakely. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we will adjourn. We will adjourn to closed session and no action